Jackson, your Holistic Project Manager from the Holistic Project Management Consulting. Thank you so much for listening to our recording this afternoon. And today we will be talking about some of the concerns regarding passing the PMP certification exam. So as you can see on the slide, hopefully you have access to the slides which you're recording, is looking at testing confidence and getting ready for your transition. We look at passing the PMP as going through a transition because one has to study in a manner that maybe they haven't studied before. So in moving to our next slide, we're looking at a slide titled, Can You Make It Through the Fire? Let's look at some of those requirements. Many students that sign up for the PMP, by the time they finally decide which trainer they want to go with after picking through the criteria or what was important to them for studying, they're usually pretty tired by that time. And so the thoughts of doing a long application are the furthest thing from their mind. But in order to sit for the PMP exam, you must fill out an application that goes to PMI, the Project Management Institute, and they evaluate your criteria and then grant you the right to take the exam. Now, in terms of the application, it takes some time to do, so we at HolisticPMC offer our clients the opportunity for us to help them get the materials together. We even have a service for individuals that really don't want to do it, that we will do it for you. So that's an opportunity for you to get the application done early and have it out of the way while you study. Now, in terms of classes, it's important to make sure that you're in the right kind of class. If you're a student that doesn't have a lot of time, that's not the reason to pick a boot camp. Boot camps are very fast classes. They just give a very high-level overview. So if you have not studied the material before, project management in terms of the terms used by PMI is totally new to you, you will have a hard time keeping up with the class. Maybe for the first day until 12 noon, but after that, the rest of the class will probably take off very fast. And if you haven't done your reading prior to starting the class or had a good project management experience, I can tell you it will be challenging, so be ready for that. The amount of study time, that's important to set aside time on your calendar for studying so that when individuals at work or at home decide they're going to book something into your calendar, they'll see that you are busy at that time. The resources, it does cost to get a certification. So we want you, at HolisticPMC, we really want you to think of your profession as similar to that of a doctor. Would you go to a doctor and have him work on you when he maybe have gotten his certification or his degrees or his training in a third world country where maybe the sanitation conditions weren't the best? Maybe the training wasn't the best. It was learn as you go. So you want to think of PMP as making sure that you're picking the trainer based on the fact that they can deliver all of the information, not half, all of the information that you need so that as you study on your own the final days before the exam, you're not finding groups or chapters of information that was never covered. So it is costly to be part of the PMI Institute. It is costly to get your PMP certification. But according to reports put out by Project Management Institute, most project managers, after getting their PMP, are able to earn upwards of $20,000 more than they were without the PMP. So look at your salaries that you or others in your field are earning and see if $20,000 more could definitely be useful to you in your budget. And that's what you would be looking at. The game plan. Definitely one of the requirements is to come to the study. The game plan. What are you going to study? When are you going to take the mock exam? When are you going to plan to have your application sent to PMI? When do you plan to schedule your exam? Even scheduling the exam, we talk a lot about that during the class because anything going on with your family can definitely derail that, as well as your job. That what if they send you for travel? And then management. Management is important to understand how are you getting your team and your managers, your senior managers, to support your time that you'll be away to take your exam, that maybe you want to take an afternoon off here and there to do some more studying. So that's extremely important to get their buy-in. If it is you do not have support from your job, then you're going to have to be very creative at how you get your extra time. If extra time is needed, you cannot leave the PMP study to the last week of the day. You can't leave it to study for 2 weeks after the when the exam, before your exam. You need to be on time for studying and being ready to take your exam. So I would suggest, considering the fact that at PMC we have done this training for over 10 years, I would suggest that at least 10 days before your scheduled exam that you are in the ready zone. And when you decide to join with HPMC, we'll talk to you more about what that readiness zone looks like, what it feels like, and how to really get there. So let's look at some of the constraints. The constraints are your work schedule. It could be that you're working 15-hour days, 12-hour days. I cannot really tell you how to get that time from your job. If your management is not supportive of project management and that's where your passion is, you will have to find time getting up an hour earlier, staying up a little bit late at night when you take your lunch breaks. And I hear some people aren't taking lunch breaks, but I think according to law, you're supposed to get a lunch break at two breaks, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. So I don't know what's happening in the workplace these days, but you really need to look at how you're getting control of that schedule. Many students of ours have actually been sent for travel. Like the week before they take their exam, the manager says, guess what, you have to go to Hong Kong. So now they got to go get all the paperwork and visas and whatever and have to travel. So they miss their exam. So it's important, maybe if you need to, you can avoid telling your management that you're going for the exam to try and do that and play low-key as you get close to your exam date. Family events, birthdays, christenings, first communions, holidays, family reunions, picnics, Thanksgiving, all of those events can impact your ability to study. I studied during the New Year's Eve holiday in Las Vegas. So if I can study during that time of year in a place where there's nothing but parties going on, I'm sure that you, as a student looking for an opportunity to study, will find some time where you can cut out in your day and throughout the sort of like maybe 3 to 4 months that you can then turn around and do a really good, thorough study process. Resources. Some of you say, well, you know, it's so expensive. But you need to not look at what you're putting in the beginning, but look at what you're getting out at the end. Okay, you're going to be able to get an opportunity for a job with higher pay. You're going to be able to get better positions, do more for your family, earn more, and maybe buy a new car, maybe purchase, put some money down on a house. But look at the benefits rather than look at how much you have to pay out. You never have seen a doctor say, I paid $29 to go to medical school, right? You wouldn't even go to him. You would not go to a lawyer that got his training for $69.95. So think in terms of the project management profession as being a professional profession that you need to really invest in your own career. And when I talk about investing in your own career, I mean you taking from your 401k or maybe not smoking cigarettes for a couple of months or maybe cutting back on some areas where you can then pay for your own training. One of the nice things we have at HPMC is also a pay me later program or bill me later through PayPal. So definitely when you call, ask one of our support teams to share with you the link for that or the phone number to call PayPal. Another constraint is many of you are confused about which exam to take or which trader to take your training with. How long should you take? Should you take the boot camp? Should you take a long program? Should you take a year-long program? You would know what's best for you based on what's going on for your family, your home, work-life balance. So seek to not upset the balance in the house by keeping everything running pretty much similar for your family and then having a way that you can get away and get your studying done. And this is not being sexist in any way. Men and women, both of genders, have issues with having to pick up kids, take them to football practice, dance lessons, ice skating. The list goes on and on. So you need to find a way that your family is going to buy in and say, look, okay, we're going to cut back on some of the things we do. We're going to be quiet. We're going to give you study time, and when you have the sign on the door, we're not going to interrupt. By getting your family's buy-in, you have a better chance of getting your studying done uninterrupted and getting it closer to passing the exam faster. Those of you whose jobs are at risk, you definitely will end up with a small problem because you're trying to get the PMP while they're demanding you get your PMP before they terminate your position. That's an unfortunate situation, but you need to always look at the other end, that you're going to get the PMP and that you're going to really excel in your career as a project manager. If management doesn't support project management, maybe you're in the wrong type of organization or working for the wrong company. That doesn't mean the company is bad. Every company has their own focus, but you need to figure out what works for you. And then again, on family, just getting their buy-in and letting them understand that when you make more money, everybody makes money. So let's go to the next slide, and let's look at some of the other things that we talk about related to the exam. We cover a lot of material, so I would say be prepared for a lot of learning, a lot of training, a lot of experience, learning from others in the class on what they've gone through, and being able to relate it to your own project management experience. If your experience is not in the IT world, it really does not matter. The exam does not speak to only IT. You don't need to be an IT specialist to pass the exam, but you have to be someone that will put in the time into the exam. So here are the knowledge areas that we cover. It follows the same, pretty much the same order as the PMBOK, except that we start with professional social responsibility, which covers areas of ethics. We want to make sure right up front you know what's allowed and not allowed, so that in the class you don't turn around and ask someone to, please copy the book for you because you couldn't afford to buy the book. That will probably not work well in one of my classes. Okay, so no breaking of intellectual property laws, ethics, we'll cover it. It's pretty easy. It's a lot of fun. A lot of the topics you'll find that it's a no-brainer. You've experienced it, like the ethics portion, talking about HR and quality and communications. Those are a lot of fun. So some of the chapters are more challenging, so that you just sort of buckle down and just do what you need to do to study. Study should not be new to you, but we do cover study techniques to help you to study better so that you're more able to master the material. So let's look at some of the programs. I didn't list all of them. I don't want you to get overloaded with, well, what should I pick? If you've never taken a full PMP training class, and you need the 35 hours for the PMP exam, the 35-hour program is the best thing to take. If you decide, well, I want to do it on my own, most people that do the training programs on their own end up, number one, failing the exam. They never cover enough of the material. They don't know what they're missing or not missing, what's on the exam, what's not on the exam. I'm going to take a chance. That's a lot of money to take a chance with. Either whatever you pay for your books, coming to maybe $150, pay for the exam, talking another $550, TMI membership, another $129. So we're not talking like candy money. We're talking real money here. So if you are really wanting to pass the exam the first time, I would tend to think that you would invest the time and the money to do it the right way. So the 35-hour program covers the entire PMBOK. We use a couple of other books. With my training, I use about maybe 10 or 12 different books. But my students, why have them study 10 or 12 books? That's crazy. You don't have that kind of time to really dig down deep into 12 books. So what I do is give an overview. So our notes have an overview, and we refer you to different websites and sources, links, where you can get a lot of great information. We cover over 3,000 mock exam questions. So these are questions that come from the homework, come from the books, come from mock exams that you should be taking. You should plan to be taking mock exams. You should be planning to do some level of review every single day. If you decide, I'll come to class once a week, and what I'll do is I'll do a catch-up at the end, and I'll really crunch. This is not the kind of exam you want to experiment with. Okay, this is not. There's too much money riding on it, and also your integrity, your crushed feelings when you fail the exam. So you don't want to go through that. And PMI application, many people have told me recently that they've had some problems with the application. I mean, I probably should go in and look, but I don't think it's any worse than when I did it about 12 years ago. So what I suggest you do is either get assistance from one of our coaching teams or to take your time and just buckle down. Most people try to see if they can do the application in 1 day or 1 hour. You know, that's crazy. It's a lot of information. We're talking about 45 to 7,500 hours of work experience, talking about putting your college information in there, all your jobs. We're talking about putting your training information in there. So it's a lot of keystroking. So you want to just plan it. Your project manager, plan on it. Plan to spend the time and work on it until it's done. There are some additional classes we offer for our 35-hour program that's free, that's different from all other training programs. So we have a coaching group that meets once a week for 1 hour. So you may be thinking, well, how much can you cover in 1 hour? Well, go to LinkedIn and read the reviews for Elaine T. Jackson in Boston. We cover a lot. We cover at least 25, 30 questions. If the questions are more detailed, then we end up covering less. But the intensity is there. And it's usually 9 or 10 o'clock at night, so we really don't want to push people over the edge with a long review. But this gives individuals a nice chance to get some extra studying in if they're not able to do it on their own. We have a brain dump workshop. Brain dumps are documentation that helps you to remember massive amounts of information by just using maybe a bulleted format or using shapes and colors and diagrams. So it's a nice way to get your brain prepped up with the information, because when you go in to take your exam, you have nothing but your ID on you. Everything else goes in the locker. So we talk about that too, about the whole exam process and what it will take, what it will look like. And we encourage you to go visit the testing center. Because when you visit the testing center, I would say about maybe 30% of your nervousness starts to go away, because you see it's a real place. You get to see the cameras that are all over the ceiling. You sort of get over the fact that somebody's watching you the whole time, and you sort of decide, okay, I've got to get into this exam and come out of here with my PMP. We have a PMP math overview, and we'll talk about that in the second show. Covers all of the complex math. Some of you were, I'm not going to say you were bad. I'm going to say that you did not have the right teachers for math when you were in elementary school and high school. So handling formulas and calculations and word problems, some of you are coming to us with some concern. So we decided to kick in a math overview problem. I test, and that's about 4 hours. So we review all of the concepts, and it's important that you know all the concepts that are covered, because all of them are on your PMP exam. I find it interesting that of all the trainers in the world, I am the only one doing that. So either I'm crazy or I love math, and I know I do love math. And so what's also available is a PMP mock exam session. So before we finish out this recording, we're going to have you look at a session where people actually took a 4-hour test, and we monitored them for the full 4 hours. So that's another area you may say, my God, she's really going over the edge. We wanted to be able to tell our students, this is what it's going to feel like when you take your exam. Take your exam, and we're going to monitor all of your behaviors for the whole 4 hours. And when we did that, they were able to discover some very surprising results. And then if after you do your 35 hours, you're not ready to take the exam, but you want to stay engaged with me as a trainer or with my other trainers that are on board, just because we're such wonderful people, then that's great. You can stay with us for an additional 4 weeks, and we have pricing on that. So let's look at the Q&A. This Q&A is what we offer as an additional program that's free. So if you're still a student with us, what we say is, okay, here's this class once a week that you can come in and review questions. Reduce your anxiety, ask questions about certain topics that you've studied. Some people actually rely on this class as their extra study time, and that's okay, but you know that you need more than 1 hour of studying. Don't have to be a brain scientist to figure that out. You need more than 1 extra hour to be able to master the material. And it's going to take a lot of your energy. As you may have been reading out on the web, the comments that people make, they were exhausted. These are real. People are being paid to say these things. It is truly accurate that when you finish your exam that you are done. You are so exhausted. One client told me that her friend had taken the exam, I think in Atlanta or somewhere, and when she came home, she slept for 2 days. So, I mean, if I slept for 2 days, you can basically just go get my insurance policy cashed out because I would be gone. So 2 days, that's a long time to just give all you have and then crash. So there's another way. You can also study all along and build great study documents so that when it comes closer to your exam, you just get that final push. You're not pushing yourself over the edge where you know your health is at risk. And so the importance of this extra class is really to be able to, number one, answer as many questions as you can on the exam, 200-question exam. So you want to be able to answer questions quickly, completely, and you want to be able to answer them with the right answer. So the more confidence you have as you're taking tests, the faster you can go. The more information you know, the more you mind map it, which is another program that we help you map the information and connect it. So as you're thinking, let's say you're thinking of cost management, that you see a question and you identify this is cost management, that your brain doesn't send you to portfolio management or start talking about the organizational structure or talk about procurement or communications. You know, if your brain, if the question is on one area, we want everything that's related to that to come into your mind so that you can answer the questions faster. If you cannot answer questions fast, you will probably not be able to finish the exam. The rate at which you need to be answering questions is 1 minute and 12 seconds a question on average. Okay? Here's our PMP math topics and complex topics. Earned value, network diagram, procurement, risk, project selection methods. These are all areas that people complain about. They complain about network diagramming, earned value the most. There are a lot of questions on there, and some of them have gotten really creative. And you can tell I really like that. You know, it's very creative questions because sometimes it's not even the math, but it's the concept of how you do the math. And when you get them through the calculation, what do those answers mean? So you really need to, you can't just breeze through the book and look at the headings and say, well, I'll figure it out when I get in there. I think as project managers, many of us are type A personalities, and we figure, you know, I'll figure it out. Don't worry about it. The answer's there, which is true, and I'll figure it out when I get there. Well, when you get there, you're nervous. And everything, you feel like the whole world is turning upside down. And you want to be able to control that. And if you don't have the knowledge on the control, everything else starts to fall apart. So the important thing here with the math topics is to be able to understand all of the problems, understand what they're asking you, and then to be able to eliminate at least 2 of the answers and come down to the last 2 and pick the right one of the answers. The accelerated program, if you failed your exam before, unfortunately, a large number of individuals do fail their exam. For whatever reason. I could go on for days about the reasons why people fail the exam. And people that have failed the exam, many times they don't go back and blame the trainer because they know they didn't study, they didn't do homework, they didn't do mock exams. They did a lot of different things they could have or should have, would have, but it's over and done with. When the screen says, unfortunately, you failed the exam, now you know that money's gone, and you have to leave there feeling not so good. So I've told my students, do not come home without that PMP. So like when you were a kid and your mother says, don't come home without your book, don't come home without your coat. My students hear my voice and they realize, okay, this training is serious, I've got to buckle down. And they're not doing it for me, they're doing it really for themselves. So this accelerated program just gives you another chance to get really good information, to remind you of all the things that you need to know, to ramp up your training to a level where you're motivated and you're pumped up and you know you're going to do it, and you have the skills to do it because now you're taking mock exams and you're scoring high enough that with a confidence level that tells you go ahead and do it, you're going to do it this time. this is a mock test experience. No one is doing this again that I have ever seen, testing the individuals and finding out, okay, where are your weak points? I know for me, I'd like to know where my weak points are so I can fix that up. I mean, can you imagine, even like people who fly planes, right? Don't they use simulators and they test it out? And even the doctors, they have these mechanical equipment that they use on little cadavers or dolls or something. They don't use a human being to test it out first, a live human being. So why would you go and take the test, never taking any mock exams, never understanding the experience, and say, I'm hoping for the best? And that's what a lot of people are hoping for the best. It takes a little bit more than hope at this point of the game. And you don't want to be embarrassed. The retake cost is phenomenal. So you may say, well, I don't want to pay $1,500 or $1,200 or whatever it is for a PMP class. And then you turn around, fail the exam. Well, guess what? Whatever you pay, now you're going to pay someone else probably a higher rate, and then you have to pay the retake fee. And in addition to that, what is the cost of being embarrassed? You know, you told your job, I'm going to take it. You know, everybody gets hyped up. You're going to take the exam. You get in there and you fail. Then you're going to go back to work. And then did you pass? Did you pass? Oh, so sorry you didn't pass. I failed too. So they try to make you feel better and tell you they failed too. But, you know, that doesn't make you feel any better. So you want to be ready for really a successful exam experience. We help you fix all of the things that you're doing wrong. And those poor testing habits, we point those out to you. So we just want to, as we wrap this up, come and just talk a little bit about you need to schedule time off for your exam. You know your exam is, let's say, for example, March 1st. You put in for vacation time. You may have to use your vacation time. And that's where the cost for the PMP becomes higher. Because not only you pay for the exam and you pay for the books and you pay for the classes, now if you lose a week pay, what is that worth? Add that on to the cost of getting your PMP. And some people say, well, I don't want to take any time off. What if your exam's at 4 o'clock and your manager says, oh, you have plenty of time to get to the exam. Why don't you come in and work that day? That's not a good idea. You want to be away from work for at least 2 days before your exam. And you want to do that so that you can improve your scores, take many practice exams, get review, get your mental status under control. You don't want to run into that exam getting through traffic, leaving your car somewhere like one person did, left their car parked at a meter, and they didn't get back out of the exam. The exam is 4 hours. The meter was 1 hour. I mean, you don't have to be a college graduate to figure out if the car is going to get a ticket or get towed. Okay, so let's talk about this mock exam. We had an experience and used this as a case study. We had about 6 people get on a Saturday morning, and they all had their coffee with them. That's fine. They had all their books around them, and they had done their brain dump ahead of time. So we didn't have to take the 15 minutes to prepare the brain dump. So we all started the class at 2:10. So this was an afternoon class, actually. And you see, person number 6 didn't get on the call until 15 minutes later. So if you show up to your exam 15 minutes late, you may as well don't even bother to go in there because they would have canceled your exam. You need to show up on time or ahead of time. Now, if you show up an hour and a half early, believe me, if the seat is open, they're going to tell you, come on in. We can take you early. And you may be thinking, well, I'll just sit in the lobby and I'll study some more. If they see you there, they will pull you in, tell you, put your stuff in the locker and let's get going with your exam. So the sooner they get everybody tested, the sooner they can close down that prometric center. So here in hour 1, you see the first person, they did 150 questions in hour 1. Now the whole test is 200 questions in 4 hours. So average question should be about 50. By the 1 hour mark, you should have done about 50 questions. The fact that this person did 105, I mean, again, you don't need to be a rocket scientist. You see that this person is going extremely fast, twice as fast as she should have. Then when she got to the second hour, she did like maybe another 70-some questions, okay, 73 questions or 83 questions, whatever. And then she finished up really early. But look at her final score. The final score was telltale sign. It's 52%. Had she slowed the pace down, okay, slowed it down, and look, she took no bathroom breaks. There's no breaks here. No breaks, even though I coached the students take a break, no break. Client number 2 started on time, 57. Then they rushed through and lost steam. It looks like they didn't even finish the exam. They ended up with a 44. Went up to 100 and still no bathroom breaks, people. It's important. I'm the only one talking about this again, about bathroom breaks. If you have to go to the restroom and your brain is saying, I got to go to the restroom, but you're like, no, I want to stay and look at the exam, half of your brain is thinking, okay, all righty, we've got to stay focused on this exam, but we really need to relieve our bladders or whatever. So you need to listen to your body signals. Work with your body. If you're thirsty, get water. If you're hungry, go get a power bar, a piece of food, or something that you brought that's very stimulating food that makes you feel powerful. And maybe I even brought like on a tissue smell of a perfume and put it in on a tissue, on a napkin, and put it in a plastic bag. Whatever it takes to stimulate your senses to make you feel good, those are some of the things that you should be doing. Person number 3, 60 questions, that's pretty good. Then they took a break 40 questions later. So I know what happened here with this person. They took a break. They had a problem where a lot of the questions they got wrong in a row, like maybe 20 questions wrong. And they hadn't taken a break for a while. So you notice that they were up to 150 questions. They got back on pace. But they had a problem. They ended up going to the bathroom at between the 3rd and 4th break again. But there was a period of time when they had 20 questions wrong. When we went back and looked at their test, they had 20 questions wrong. And when they went to the bathroom and came back, all the questions after that were right. So, I mean, you don't have to be a brain scientist or anything to understand that you have to listen to your body signals. That person was able to pass the exam. The 4th person, 50, then they should have been at 100. They were going a little faster, and so they kept a pretty even pace, but they ended up with only 50% score. So going back and looking at those persons' material, they were missing some gaps of information. They missed some classes. They never made up some classes. They thought they were okay with it. Person number 5, they lost focus. Person number 5, they had a problem where they had a blood sugar issue or something, and they went to eat some kind of protein something, came back and just like, wow, you know, look at a 200 question, almost 100 questions in 1 hour, and then they crashed, you know, but they were going so fast. So you need to pace yourself. It's important to pace yourself, know where you are in the exam, know how fast you can go. If you're going too slow, know what techniques you can use to speed up. So we cover those in the training class, and we test them out. If you need to know what does work and what doesn't work, and if you haven't taken any exams, I would say nothing is working. And so nothing from nothing is nothing. So you would end up with a big 0. You will fail the exam. The last person, that's the person that came late. At the 1 hour, should have been at 50. They were at 22. So they may have been, and I sort of scaled it back, even though it's 310, because started 210, it was 310. I sort of gave them the extra time so they would have a full hour. Still couldn't get it. Look here, 3rd hour, 55. They should have been at 150, at least 150, and they couldn't finish the exam. The PC crashed or whatever. But the bottom line is, if you don't take these exams, if you don't monitor yourself and understand where you're going with this, you're looking for a day of total hell. And I can't explain it any other way. I mean, maybe as project managers, you've got to experience the fire to then say, okay, that's hot. But I think you'd rather see other people go in and see it's hot and then figure out what you're going to do to keep the temperature cool for yourself. So let's look at the classes we have coming up, because we're doing this mailing of this YouTube video so that people can look and see what we're talking about, and then look at the classes that we have available. We didn't put the prices because for some companies we offer a group discount. If someone is coming in with 5 or 7 people from their company, there's a different pricing structure. So we want to be able to be fair to everyone, and if we put a price up there and someone doesn't know about the Bill Me Later program, they might say, oh, I don't know if I want to pay that, or if I can't pay that, or can I get a discount, or
things like that. So we want to make sure that people understand that these are the programs, this is the value that we bring, and only when you see that it's valuable to you should you then go to the next step and contact one of our support people. I think it's nice to check out what's going on with the programs, and that's why we have our website up there. But when most people call us, they're usually like, wow, you guys really offer unbelievable value, and we want to be part of that. We want you to help us get our PMP. So Saturdays, we have classes listed for Saturdays. The math overview is happening on Saturday the 4th. There's a weekend class coming up the 11th, 12th, 18th, and 19th. And then we have 2 classes that are the full PMP 35 hours prep, and that's October 6th through 9th and 14th through the 17th. Those are full day classes. You'll get a certificate at the end of the class, and yes, you'll be prepared to send your application in. So if you've been working on your application and all you need to do is send it, you cannot send it till you have all of the requirements based on what PMI requires. So the location will be in Waltham, Massachusetts. For those of you outside of the area that may be listening to this, Massachusetts is an awesome time to visit this time of year. So definitely come on up, register, and come on up. If you need help with knowing where to stay and things like that, we definitely can have someone on the staff talk with you. We specialize also in virtual classes, so if it is that you would prefer a virtual class so that you can take your classes in the evening, come home, and go on a PC while you're home, having to take care of kids and family and stuff, definitely give us drop us an email and let us know, and we'll accommodate you. So here is our contact information. I'm Elaine Jackson. I'm the Holistic Project Manager. We have a blog talk radio show for project managers, so be sure to check us out on LinkedIn, and we have everything listed there, or just check out our website, and you'll be able to see all of the social media connections that we have. So with that, I'd like to thank you so much for taking the time to be on this call today. I hope I said something that would help someone who's taking their exam like tomorrow feel a little bit better. And if you're ready to take your exam, but you're not totally prepared, mentally you're ready, but you're not knowledge-wise ready, definitely give us a call, and we'll do what we can to help you based on the time frame. If you're taking your exam tomorrow, very hard to change around some of the ways you're thinking, but we might motivate you to be more relaxed. If it is you're planning your test next month or November,